just want to read the headlines that come across my algorithm just this morning. 9/11 mastermind, KSM, and 2 other terrorists awaiting trial in Guantanamo strikes plea deal. Biden and Kamala gives a plea deal to the masterminds of 2001. Second, New York Post also says illegal Jordanian migrants. If you remember the crashing of the fence at the Marine base in Quantico a few months back, they have now been able to make bail and released back on the street. That's what this administration's doing. The prisoner swap with Russia seems like good news, but did you see the interview afterward? Biden can't speak almost, and then he goes into the plane where the prisoner swap happened. Now, there's no reason for him to go there, and everybody stands there awkwardly. Well, then Kamala, with no script, speaks, and it's pure ignorance. CISA and the FBI have both put out a very ominous warning about the potential election attack this fall. Now, why would they be putting this out? And are we going to see that black swan event that we once talked about? And then we're going to tell you one more thing that Trump just released that I thought was pretty big. Something that I think that if people are paying attention and have a common sense approach, would say there's no reason to back anyone but Trump. Again, this is not a cliche, a lesser of two evils. This is nothing like that. This is saying you either want American to thrive or you want Marxism and World War. You have 2 choices. Let's talk about these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up, especially if you like the content. We ask that you humbly, again, subscribe, ring the bell, and then that way you will be up to date on what comes out each and every day. We are a daily poster, sometimes even having 1 or 2 a day. So please check out our content because we hope that everything that we share is relevant and helps you gain a common sense approach to the crazy world that we live in. Now today let's talk about a few of these details. But before we do, remember I gave a prepper bar, a silver prepper bar away. It cost nothing, it was just part of being a subscriber. That person has not claimed that yet. So please go back and watch that video. If you have subscribed and commented, of course, on the video for the last month, please go check that out. And that way you can see if you are the winner, and that way I can get this silver prepper bar from Genesis Gold to you. Now to today's video. A few of the headlines, let's go back and read them again. The 9/11 masterminds could soon make a plea deal and be released. Now, we're talking about terrorist people. We're talking about people who caused tons of people to die. And we're allowing them to have plea deals? Why is that even a thing? They should actually they should have already truly got all the information that we needed from them and then put to death. That is what I believe we should have done. But no, we just want to put them in prison and pay for their stay. No matter where that prison is, it's ridiculous that we are basically allowing them to make millions off American people by feeding them and taking care of these people. And then all of a sudden they want us to get a plea deal? And guess what? Biden and Kamala granted it. They granted plea deals. Now that goes right into the second story, and this is to me even more serious because this just happened just a few weeks ago. We talked about this, about the 2 Jordanian people who come across our border now had tried to barricade and bust through a barricade at a Marine Corps base in Quantico, which is where we house most of our military and most of our servers. And guess what? They busted through. They had a white van, of course, acting like they were delivery drivers. Then they were arrested, put in, I guess, containment or jail. Now we're allowing them to go. Illegal people are going to be on our streets again. Not only did they break into our country illegally, they are known nationalists that tried to get on a Marine base. And again, this administration letting them walk free. Now, does that make sense to you? No. And this is why I come back and say, why are we doing this? Why are we in this situation right now? There shouldn't be a civil war between people with polarizing sides. There should be a revolution saying, what are we doing allowing our leadership to allow not only nationalist terrorists, known ties to the Middle East, to then turn around, walk free back on our streets, to do it again, to encourage more people to do it again. Do we honestly want to be the next UK? Have you seen UK and how it's literally fallen to pieces? We're putting ourselves in the same boat, and ultimately we're going to be a weak nation and a weaker nation based on what's happening. Again, we had this prisoner swap with Russia, which was a great thing. I don't give credit to this administration by any means, because this has been in the works for a while. Remember, one of these guys, Whelan, would have already been released, but no, we chose to grab Brittany Griner last year. Biden did instead of Whelan. So he spent a whole other year in prison in Russia just because Biden wanted the optics of Griner versus Whelan. So these people should have already been released. Now the thing is this, did you see them at the tarmac speaking to reporters? Biden literally looks like he's going back into the infant stage of sundowners or Alzheimer's. He literally walks on a plane. I think he was supposed to load on that plane and he was going somewhere. I would have loved to seen actually what it encompassed in that plane. I'd love to see what actually happened. But he walked on the plane and it was very awkward because Kamala and all his Secret Service for some reason were outside. So he walked in the plane by himself to where the prisoner swap came down to, and they greeted him. It was so embarrassing. He looked like a feeble old man who has went back into his infancy stage. And then on top of that, Kamala, unscripted. This is why I think they'll never let Kamala go unscripted. That's why I don't believe Kamala will actually debate unless it's some kind of very, very tight-lipped situation where they can control Trump and give Kamala the answers. Because when she speaks just, I guess, from the heart, or when she speaks off the cuff, the poor lady is lost. Go back and watch her 20-second clip of what she said about diplomacy. She said diplomacy and the importance of diplomacy, I bet 5 times during the 20 seconds. Because she cannot talk. It's just complete word salad. If leaders are looking at that, they're thinking these two people are ignorant. And that's exactly what the DNC wants. They want ignorance because then they become political pawns, which is ultimately puppets, and it allows them to complete their task. Now, that's all bad news, and that's why we should elect Trump. I want to share something that he just shared on social media, and I thought this was huge. I'm going to go back to his exact words. Now, this has not been confirmed, but at the same time, if it was not confirmed, I believe it would have already been talked about widely. Listen to this. Trump just released saying that the Meta CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, the Zuck, called him after assassination attempt. Said he isn't going to support a Democrat and apologized for Facebook and Instagram censoring the iconic photos of him with his fist raised. Now, I told you a few weeks ago, I think that Zuckerberg, just like most billionaires, just like most people who have common sense, who are brilliant, it's not the fact that they're becoming conservative. It's because the Overton window has shifted so much that they're like, we cannot just see our country fall to pieces. This is what made us who we are. Either we got to quit talking because we can't be activists anymore. And I know that they're all scared to say that they're going to vote conservative or vote for Republican. But the truth be known, they're not ignorant. They're smart people, and they're realizing more and more the older they get, the wiser they get, that this foolishness that the left is pushing is causing for a demise of America, which is what made them billions, made them uber billionaires, was the people. And even though, ignorant people get on social media too, and ignorant people buy things, and of course they can still be billionaires, I think they see the truth behind this. If we keep going down this downhill slope, America as we know it will not be free, and America as we know it won't be the America that we once had, that made them very successful and free. So is Mark Zuckerberg, supporting Trump? I think what he's going to do is he's going to be a closeted supporter. Now, I wish he'd come out and actually support him, but I believe he sees the Elon treatment, he sees the Trump treatment, and I don't know if he's ready for that yet. But I do think people come around to saying, no matter what you think about Trump, look at what this other side has become. They're releasing and making deals and putting people back on the streets, and now allowing for the masterminds to make plea deals. What are we thinking? Not only that, flooding our country with people who they want to vote. I want you to listen to one more quote, or 2 more quotes from the Harris camp. Now, one was from Harris, and the other was from a supporter of hers. It says, Harris backs using list to all firearm owners to send police door to door to seize these 2A rights. Now this is something that she pushes, that she supports, that she wants to happen. And she says she is going to make for an executive action to make it happen. She wants to be just like Australia, where these buybacks are not just buybacks, they're almost mandatory buybacks. Is that what you would want as someone who says, oh, I don't like Trump, I'm a conservative? I love when people say they want to vote, they're not voting for Trump because he's not as conservative as they like. I agree, he's not as conservative as we like, but we support him because look at your other choices. He's the only one that's been a friend to conservatives and has stood up for conservatives and who is willing to fight along conservatives. So we have to support that. Now, one more thing I want to bring up. There was a release where Kamala stated that she would love to see more of these individuals that are coming across the border, the ones who are contributing, which means anybody who is just working or anybody who is willing to come across this country, come across our border. She wants to find ways to grant them some kind of voting rights. Now, this is the Democratic platform. They're saying, well, hey, if they've worked here and they've paid taxes, why don't we allow them to vote? They're trying to justify for people to vote in our elections who are not legal citizens. This is becoming very, very popular on the left, and guess what? They know if they push this narrative, they will win in a landslide. They won't even have to flub or make extra ballots or do crazy harvesting situations or be very unethical in the way they approach elections. They know they will win handily every election cycle if they can pass that. Be very cautious and careful with how strong this system is, because I believe Trump is going to fight an uphill battle. Shouldn't, but I believe he is facing a monster system that we need to pay attention to. Last thing I want to talk about. This was a breaking story from CISA and FBI. They were stating that there could be a major infrastructure attack on our election, on America. Now, with weak leadership like we have, and the fact that Iran is very close to pushing more attacks on Israel. Israel, it went into Iran the other day, took one of the leaders out of a terror organization. So that kind of thing, the weakness of our leadership, could easily help sway an election based on the infrastructure problems with our voting machines. Wouldn't you think the best way to solve that is just go back to voting via paper ballots? Wouldn't that be the best scenario? Single day voting with paper ballots. Wouldn't that solve all that issue? But no, FBI and CISA and the leadership, the federal government, is not saying that's the answer. They're just saying they're warning because this could happen. I think they're putting that out there just in case the election goes crazy awry. That gives them an excuse to say, well, I told you so, and we'll have to live with the repercussions of the election, or we'll throw this out, we'll do it again. It allows them to have the talking points. Instead of taking the problem, making a solution, say, let's go back to paper ballots, all in one day voting. That way it cannot be skewed, and they are run through, and actually the election is done by that day. That's what needs to happen. That's what Trump is pushing for. That's what most conservatives, and actually most Americans would want. But it's harder to skew, it's harder to expand, and it's harder to hold the results captive for a long time when they're paper ballots and done on election day. So, something to think about. These stories only represent a few things. That some people are coming around that probably wouldn't have come around to Trump because they realize the left has lost it. Also, it shows the weak leadership on the Kamala side. No matter how much they try to spin and make her the next Obama, she's not. The more they allow her to have a mic, and this is where I think Trump should very much back up. Do social media, get back on X, learn how to really push and market and be positive about their message. But let Kamala speak, because the more she speaks, the more ignorant she sounds. The tomfoolery of it is this. 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, Kamala was a joke. No one thought that she could run. She didn't even get 1% of the DNC vote back in 2020, or 2016, excuse me. But now she's the next Obama? No. They realize this is the only card they have to play. So they're using the system to make her look phenomenally strong. There's a rapper that came out, and actually Amber Rose brought attention to this with Megan Thee Stallion and the crazy pandemonium, all this stuff with all these rappers and these influencers, is that the Kamala camp is just paying people crazy amounts of money to support them. They're buying the vote. And then the influencers, because they've been bought off, they just turn around and talk about how much they love Kamala. And truth be told, 4 weeks ago, everybody thought she was actually weaker than Biden's approval ratings. It shows how strong this party can be, shows how strong this system is. If Kamala wins, I'm going to say this for the record right now, if Kamala wins, that shows that legacy media, social media influencers, and the fact that foolishness can always prevail over a common sense approach and over suppression. If they can win this election, with how bad our economy is, and they can spin it to make people vote for her this election, after an attempt that they basically washed out of the news cycle, you don't even hear anything about it. If they win this election, listen to this, conservatives will never win again until it's too late and the nation has fallen. Now that's a bold statement, but that is the truth. And I believe that comes back around to saying this is why Trump is so important. I actually like that he's not establishment. I like that he says what he feels. And as a Christian conservative, I wish he was more conservative. But I think it's amazing. And I think what I would do if I was him, I would meet with people like Ron Paul. I would meet with people like RFK. I would meet with people like Tulsi. Then I would turn around and meet with people like DeSantis. I would meet with people like leaders like Franklin Graham. And I would build a coalition that is so amazingly strong, from the conservative to the independent, that it would be impossible to not vote for him. Build the best talking points possible. And I would send them out, and I would work hard to make sure that I unified not only the Overton window, the conservatives, and the new Republican Party, which I'm not really for. It's more the liberalized, it's more the 1990s Democrat movement. But bottom line, it would be, we would build a coalition so strong to say that we have someone in the White House who's at least a friend to making American freedom important again. This is what's so important about this election, is that if we see how much the news has changed and the narrative has changed in the last 3 weeks, how we thought Trump was a shoo-in after what happened in Pennsylvania, it shows how quickly they can get that out of the media and then put to the next talking point. And now Kamala is the next Obama. It's amazing. Guys, let me know your thoughts. This is pretty serious, because I want you to pay attention to these first stories to then realize that even billionaires that are liberal are coming around to Trump, because they're realizing we cannot keep going at this trajectory. Guys, let me know your thoughts. And again, remember to subscribe to the channel. We humbly ask that you give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us, and it helps us spread our message across this platform. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.